Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today's video is going to have some spoilers in it from The Acolyte, Episode 5. With Jedi Master Soul, the sole survivor of the Kofar mission returning back to Coruscant, alive or dead, we don't really know, we're most likely going to have to address the elephant in the room. The big green elephant. And that is, what is the Jedi Order's role in all of this? With a specific focus on Vernestra Rwoh, aka Green Diesel. She's one of the highest ranking members of the Jedi Order we've seen in the show, and I previously said that she was the Grand Master and head of the Council. I was actually wrong about that, so thanks for correcting me. I don't know why I thought that. But yeah, so far she seems to be guiding the actions of the Jedi who were involved in the investigation of the assassination attempt against the Brendok 4. Basically, there's this witch coven which has self-exiled itself to the far reaches of the galaxy outside of High Republic space so that they can practice their own brand of Force or witch magic. Something that the Jedi really disapprove. In the Jedi criminal justice system, Force-related offenses are considered especially heinous. On the Inevitability world of Coruscant, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Force Unit. These are their stories.
These women are under my protection.
Forgive our intrusion. We thought this planet was uninhabited.
Well, it is now. Anyway, the Jedi of this period, the High Republic, have dominance and control over all things related to the Force. This is all driven by their belief that the Jedi Order was in the best position to prevent Force users from falling to the dark side. You know, like Anakin Skywalker, Dooku, Han Krell, Quinlan Vos, Asajj Ventress, Bears Ophi. You know, in a lot of ways, the Jedi's control over Force users kind of reminds me of the whole gun debate in the States. Like firearms, Force users are seen as a dangerous tool by the Jedi organization, and they seek to regulate access to these Force users. They have holocrons with all the names of Force sensitives born in the galaxy, which they keep under lock and key. They also make it illegal for other organizations to train younglings. Now, what's important in this video is not whether it's good or bad that someone is controlling Force users. It's about how they're doing it, because this all leads to the central conflict in the Acolyte, the events that unfurl on Brendok.
We are concerned that you are training children. The Republic lost.
Brendok is not a part of the Republic.
There are no children here.
Kelnaka used to eat children, and so he's trained his nose to sniff them out. I'm just kidding. But seriously, guys, I swear, media literacy in today's day and age is completely gone. You know, so many channels hated this episode, which I liked. And they're all focused on these witches being lesbians and females. And guys, for the last time, if you're not upset about this and you have valid criticism, I'm okay with you. I have no problems against you. This is not about you, okay? But yeah, many channels were so focused on there being too many lesbian women in this scene that they failed to notice what honestly, in my opinion, is a very libertarian, anti-institutional viewpoint. And no, guys, I'm not a libertarian. I'm not trying to push my own viewpoints on other people. If you actually met me in real life and asked me about my politics, like a real human being, I have very different viewpoints depending on what the issues are, and they are all over the political spectrum. But yeah, if you can ignore the cringy screaming at the sky, yes, it's bad, get over it, look at what they're actually saying in this episode. Because this is classic Star Wars.
Jedi are bad.
The Jedi are good.
This isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who is allowed to use it.
You know, people complain about Boba Fett, Kenobi, and, you know, Ahsoka to a certain extent being meh shows. And, like, as far as, like, political messaging, those shows lack any kind of balls or gumption. I mean, most Disney shows have no political message. They don't stand for anything. That's a problem. Except for Andor, of course. Andor was just, wow. And this message here is pertinent, not just to Star Wars, but to the world we live in. It's not about the Jedi being good or bad. It's about the people who have control of power. It's not about the left or right, Republicans or Democrats. It's about the assholes on both sides who abuse power, right? Power. It doesn't matter if the Jedi Order is good or not. Its structure by nature, as an unchecked organization with the right to do whatever it wants, makes it dangerous. The only thing that really keeps the Jedi in check at this point is like public opinion against them. And at the heart of the Jedi organization in the Acolyte is Vernestra Rwoh. And really, all she really cares about is public opinion. And she's also a high-ranking Jedi Master who has her own little working group that has complete allegiance to her, and all bend to her will. When news reaches the Jedi Temple that Master Indara has been murdered, potentially from an ex-Jedi, here's how she responds.
If it were to become public that a former Jedi killed one of our own,
our political enemies could use it against us.
discretion is important. Our justice swift, an example made.
This is a huge red flag. The murder of a Jedi is no simple issue. It's something that should be discussed by the High Council, and eventually it should reach the Senate. Because the Jedi are partially funded by the Republic. They use Republic ships, they work alongside Republic personnel, and therefore they should be beholden to the people, to the taxpayers. But of course, as the plot thickens and we find out that the twin sister of the original suspect was the culprit and that potentially a Jedi has trained her in the dark arts, this is how Vernestra Rwoh handles the situation.
We must alert the High Council.
The High Council would be obliged to inform the Senate. A scandal like this would inspire fear and mistrust. We should handle this ourselves.
I mean, what the hell is going on here? Why is Ki-Adi-Mundi the voice of reason? And is it possible he's going to be a whistleblower on Vernestra Rwoh for not wanting to tell the High Council? I mean, why is he staring at her in the hall like that? Well, guys, believe it or not, Ki-Adi-Mundi is not the only legacy character in the Acolyte. There is another, and it is Vernestra Rwoh. Vernestra Rwoh is a much newer legacy character, one that has been one of the central characters in the High Republic novels and comics. And if you actually have read the High Republic novels and comics, there's a lot of them. I honestly haven't read them all, but Vernestra Rwoh is a completely different person in those novels, which makes it really interesting. I mean, if anyone wants to complain about lore breaking, it should be the High Republic people, but I think there's actually a purpose to all this. That works quite well in my opinion. See, if you understand Vernestra Rwoh's past, then you understand why she's like this. I always talk about empathy. You know, we love doing deep dives in characters, but really the point is, I want you guys to have more empathy for real life people out there. I mean, it's a great skill to have. It prevents a lot of hatred. It creates understanding, which we need more than ever now in this world. You know, I know some people are saying that Vernestra Rwoh is the Sith Master behind Chimera, but I actually don't think so. Her story is actually far worse, and honestly, a lot sadder. First of all, Vernestra Rwoh is not middle-aged. She looks like maybe 40, but she actually is over a century old. I mean, she was alive when the Starlight Beacon was still around. We've talked about that on this channel a few times. It was a giant Jedi space station that served as a beacon of hope at the height of the High Republic's power. So, Vernestra Rwoh was born in 248 BBY, okay? And she was a prodigy. She became a Jedi Knight at the age of 16. She was one of the quickest to achieve the station in generations because she's a woman. No, because he's green. Does it even matter? What does matter is she experienced some truly gnarly, crazy nonsense, like the terrifying Drengir infestation. A hive mind carnivore plant which ranks at the top of Star Wars horror in my opinion, right alongside the Red Harvest and Death Troopers. She had to deal with the Valo atrocity when a group of extremely dangerous marauders known as the Nihil launched an attack on a celebration of the High Republic and killed hundreds of thousands of people. And the Nihil, which were led by individuals ideologically bent on destroying the Jedi, you know, very Sith-like in how they thought and how much they hated. Well, these guys used their chaotic attacks on the galaxy to destroy the Jedi's reputation. They basically started making people think, well, hey, if the Jedi weren't around, maybe we wouldn't have all these crazy events, like the Great Hyperspace Disaster. And soon people started questioning the Jedi's ability to protect the galaxy and whether they were a bigger hindrance than a help. Something that also happened in the worst years of the Jedi versus Sith conflicts during the Old Republic era. At one point, I guess, a lot of people just had enough. And so, the Jedi's monopoly on power was starting to be challenged. Not only just in the public, but also in the Senate, in the center of power for the galaxy. No, Vernestra Rwoh witnessed the death of millions. She saw malicious individuals from every side of the galaxy try to rip her family, her Jedi Order apart. She also witnessed the destruction of that Starlight Beacon I talked about. And when the people of the High Republic started turning against the Jedi Order, I think she just perceived them as another threat. I mean, at some point she also went bald from all the stress, obviously. I mentioned that a lot of High Republic fans might not even recognize Vernestra Rwoh anymore, but this is what happens when you suffer so much. You see so much destruction and hatred. When your good-intentioned efforts to bring peace to the galaxy are just thrown back into your face. You know, Vernestra Rwoh has lost hope. You know, I'm an optimist. I always try to stay positive. I'm not just talking about Star Wars. I mean, this is stupid compared to the stuff you see in real life. And, you know, a lot of my friends, the people I know that know me, guys like Congo even, you know, they think They think I'm naive, I'm an idiot, but it's not it, you know. Like, I've seen enough violence, destruction, and chaos, oftentimes created by the stupidest things, to last me a lifetime. The truth is, a good portion of life is about suffering. You know, I know this. From the day we were born to adulthood until the day we die, it's just suffering. And the more we suffer, the more we let the burdens of our world, our own personal traumas weigh us down. The more we head down the dark side path of fear, hatred, and pessimism, we lose hope. You know, pessimism, I know some people are just born that way, and they can't help themselves, I understand, but it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And when most of society becomes pessimistic, we all lose, man. We all become victims, fearful of each other's intentions. We stop believing in the good in others. Maybe Vernestra Rwoh used to be an optimist, but you know, when you force someone to be a freaking hero without any checks to their powers, when you basically make their entire lives about defending good and fighting evil, eventually, you know, their golden capes get muddied and dirty until they start looking like the villains. And Vernestra Rwoh, she's 116 years old in the Acolyte. She's been through more things, more tragedy and trauma than any Jedi did during the Clone Wars, any survivor of Order 66. And, you know, there are very few things that could truly pull us back from the darkness, from all that hatred. And it's usually the people we love, family, friends, you know, maybe activities that we like to do. But yeah, oftentimes it takes another human being to reach out and grab you and just be like, come back, you know, come back to the light side. In the social media age, when everyone's on their computers and phones and they don't go out as much as they used to, meet up with their friends as much, it becomes harder to maintain those important connections, these support networks. As things get tougher in the world, we have to watch out for each other more. We gotta stop having fights over dumb things. We have to start watching out for each other more. You know, someone like Vernestra Rwoh, she's aromantic, which means she has no romantic desire. It helps her become a Jedi, but ultimately doesn't protect her heart. You know, Vernestra Rwoh has had many close brushes with death. But let me tell you something, there's nothing sadder than a close brush with death and not having someone to love during it. To not have someone flash before your eyes when your life flashes before your eyes. Because you come back from the moment and you realize that death isn't that scary. It's almost like a peaceful thing, really. It's just the thinking, the leading up to it that's scary. But you also miss out on the appreciation for life, the appreciation of your loved ones you get when you get to come back. You know, Rwoh, she's lost her ideology, her optimism for the world. It's clear in the Acolyte she's become cold, hardened, and all she really cares about is the last thing that is important to her, and that is her institution, the Jedi Order. And it's not even really a family to her. And I've seen this happen to more people than I, care to think about, right? To see another spark go out, to see another person's hope die as they turn inwards. This is the problem with the Jedi. You know, there were never any checks and balances put into place should this order become corrupted or tainted by the ridiculous job that is asked of them. The Jedi's downfall was inevitable. I mean, for all you people who claim to love the Jedi, what does defenders of the Republic, of the peace, what does that actually mean? I mean, forget about mission creep, it's an endless war. This is a conflict against nature itself. You can't just take your lightsaber, run at what you think is evil and try to kill it. I mean, it's more complicated than that. Yeah, every young activist in their first protest, realizes that eventually. And so what do you think was going to happen to these Jedi? How are they supposed to solve all the galaxy's problems by themselves? Did you really think that they would just be fine and not lose their minds trying to shoulder this crazy responsibility? Are we really that surprised that by the Clone Wars, tired individuals like Yoda just let the federal government do the thinking for them? And look at how Vernestra Rwoh holds her court here. She is the elder, she is the veteran, she has experience, and her experiences are terrible, and so she spreads her fear, her paranoia to the younger members of the Order. Even Jedi Master Soul, one of the most compassionate and warmest Jedi we've seen in the show, is affected. I don't know why he's so loyal to Vernestra. I don't know what dark things he's seen in his past, or he's done in his past. I hope he didn't do something evil in Brendok 4, but there's a really good chance, man. Y'all saw him in that fight in episode 5 when he started going bare fist with Chimera, right? The sad truth, this is what happens when we ask our heroes to do too much. This is what happens to them. We can idolize people and treat them like mortals, like gods. We can give them unlimited power. But if we truly love and respect them, we have to understand that everyone needs structure. checks and balances to protect ourselves from ourselves. You know, I don't know if Vernestra Rwoh is truly lost or just a little lost in trying to protect the Jedi Order and still has some decency left in her. I hope that's the case. But as a rule, organizations like this are doomed to fail. The Sith didn't destroy the Jedi. The Jedi set themselves up for failure thousands of years ago when they made this agreement with the Republic. Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. See you next time.